Hello, everybody. This is Yaakov coming back with a fascinating episode of Shir and Brother C. Today, we are going to talk about Dinah, Eisav, and why was Yaakov punished for not wanting to give his holy, righteous daughter to the quintessential Russia, the quintessential wicked person in the world. It seemingly doesn't make any sense, but by the end of this episode, you will see it makes perfect sense. And for the women that are going to be watching this episode, you will have hopefully a much higher opinion of what Judaism actually thinks of women and not what, the New York Times or Haaretz says, because you will see the power of a righteous woman in this episode, and I think it's going to be very exciting and very informative. This is a really mind-blowing topic. The sponsor for today's episode is a woman. She messaged me on Facebook. I see that she shares every single one of my lectures now, which I've been telling people to watch this lecture and then not share it. You are just wasting hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of free mitzvahs. It literally blows my mind that anybody would do that. If you share this lecture and say one person watches it and says, you know what, makes a lot of sense, I'm going to start doing whatever every day, putting on tefillin. You get the credit for their tefillin every single day that they do it. Let's just say someone starts keeping Shabbos, someone starts becoming Torah observant. All their mitzvahs and all their offspring's mitzvahs till the end of time go right into your account. Why would you blow such an easy opportunity? Forget about sponsoring a lecture. Just share the lecture. I see more and more people sharing, so I know that my begging, anytime you see something that's amazing in Torah, share it. You don't know who's going to watch it. You don't know what life you can change. You're going to get to the next world, and they're going to show you what you could have had you, that Hashem set it up. So you had this opportunity. You were going to be the one that shared the lecture as a reward, but you didn't do it. Someone else got it. Trillions of mitzvahs just waiting there. So the woman that sponsored this episode is very interesting. She sent a very, very nice sponsorship. She said, I really want to support your Torah learning and teaching. I said, amazing. And I said, is there any particular topic? So she mentioned one thing that she'd like me to discuss. I'm going to do this in the next lecture because I'm going to do 2 lectures for her. And I said, because the topic was, about the nations. So I was just curious if she was Jewish or not. And she said, my mother was Jewish, but we don't have the papers. I mean, that's not an uncommon problem, actually. I mean, think of after the Holocaust, so many families just broken up. I mean, think of how many families found out that they're Jewish. I mean, a couple of generations later, they were in Europe and they saw, the split hands on a grandparent's tombstone or something like that. And then realized they have all this, Jewish ancestry. So this is actually a very interesting case. I hope that this gets, sorted out for her. But she has a really wonderful neshama. She just says just very beautiful things in her message to me. So, like the lecture I did yesterday, which, totally mind-blowing. We talked about Shevet Ruvain and just that he might be the saddest figure in Jewish history. And the woman who sponsored that episode, she sponsored one about a week and a half ago. And that one she picked a topic for. That was the one I did at Eliyahu Hanavi. The one yesterday, she just said, pick something amazing. I know you'll do something amazing. So it's like a, laying down the gauntlet. It's like challenge accepted. So when someone doesn't pick a topic, I really try to find something very interesting, because it's easy to see what fascinates people. I mean, everyone loves stuff in Sefer Bereshis. Everyone loves, the uplifting stuff. Sometimes you need to hear, the Parshas Ki Savo and the punishments and all that stuff. Today's lecture, I think, is going to be just really, really incredible. And again, whether you're a beginner or a very big rabbi, you will get something from this lecture. I guarantee. You get something from all the lectures. Because I put a lot of work into finding just bomb stuff that every level of Jew can connect to. This is a very fun topic. It's a very sad, incident, obviously the rape of Dinah. but it's a very exciting, we learn a lot of things from here. And what we glean from women, what we learn about the role of women in Judaism, I think is going to really blow people away at the end. Okay. So I started telling a story yesterday about, when I was becoming observant, and I learned, the Jews have 613 mitzvahs, and then the Gentiles have 7 mitzvahs. And if both, do that throughout the lifetime, they obviously get the next world. They get a good reward. And it always didn't bother me. It just, I couldn't understand how, if the Gentiles do 7 mitzvahs, and they're all basically slam dunks except for one. I mean, not killing people, not stealing, not eating live animals. I mean, there's not many people that are walking around. They're like, I have to eat a live animal. And I see that cow, I have to eat that cow alive right now. Seems like a lot of these mitzvahs are just so easy for the Gentiles, but there's something that makes it very powerful, and something that more than any other, I think, what gives them the merit. So I started telling the story of this girl. When I was first becoming observant, I used to do very powerful lectures on a website called sellmeyyourjewishsoul.com. I created a website that if you could literally watch my lectures and not know that there's a God, and not think that there's an afterworld, then I would buy your chelik, like I would buy your portion in the next world. So one girl messaged me, she was Christian at the time, and just was asking questions. The ones that I knew, I would answer. The ones I didn't know, I'd go through the dear Rabbi Tovia Singer, who is the expert on Christianity. And I was very forceful with this, because it made me feel so bad that someone that cares about God and life this much would just be wasting it on total idolatry. So finally she messaged me. She said, Eliakim, you're right. She said, you're right. What do I do now? And how did she message me? She sent me a clip of a YouTube video where she burned her cross at a bonfire. I obviously didn't tell her to do that, but I remember watching that video just like, wow, okay, that had a good impact on this woman. So I told her about the 7 Noahide laws. I actually think she moved to a Noahide community in Pennsylvania, because there are Noahide communities. And it was around November-ish, she messaged me that she's just very sad because, Xmas is coming up, the holidays are coming up, and she's obviously not going to be with her family, and she just feels very alone. And I said to her, I'm not going to say the name because I'm sure a lot of people know who she is. I said, you finally cracked the code for me. I could not understand what was so meritorious about just not killing people and not eating live animals. One of them is not being Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or Hindu, because it's all idolatry. The other one was there's no holidays. I mean, think of our lives as Jews. It's by the time one holiday ends, we're so geared up for the next one. I mean, I'm so excited, God willing, for all the, the Chagim to come up, Yontif, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shemini Atzeres. By the time that ends, you're coming down, and then boom, you get to be excited for Hanukkah. Gentiles have no holidays. They're like Lone Rangers. They have a Shem. They just follow what a Shem wants for them. Those that want more, they're more than, they can convert. We don't seek converts. Of course, we accept converts, but we don't seek converts. We're not on the streets trying to get, we don't do that. We're not worried about the Gentile world. Not in a negative way, not like we don't care about. Just, we have our own problems. Have you seen Jewish history? Clearly we need to, if we focus on ourselves, we'd end up being a light among the nations. So I didn't tell you the rest of the story yesterday, and I only realized this, last night. I was so jacked up for that amazing shir on Ruvain, and you have to go watch it. She's living in a Noahide community in Pennsylvania, and she messages me that, she's thinking about converting. I said, great. Gave her a number of someone to call in New York, to do an Orthodox conversion. You have to move to a community. Can't just convert. I mean, I converted to Reform. That's nothing. I mean, you could take that piece of paper and literally use it, to light a cigar with if you want to. It means nothing. You convert according to Jewish law. You convert because you want to keep the mitzvahs. You don't just convert, oh, I want to marry this person, so I convert conservative. That's not a conversion. You're not Jewish. Anyone watching this, converted, reformed, conservative, any other way other than halachically, you're not at all Jewish. She then messages me, like, during the conversion, and she says, Eliakim, you will not believe it. I just found out that I was adopted. And my birth mother was Jewish. So she, had all the proof, gave it to the rabbis. The rabbis told her, since she grew up, steeped in idolatry as a Christian, that she'd have to do like a more minor, like it wasn't going to be the intensive, couple years, because she was halakhically Jewish. So I see that she puts on Facebook that, she was trying to raise money so that she could, go to the mikvah and do her final conversion. Whatever it costs. It was like, whatever it was. So I messaged her and I said, look, please take that post down. I said, I got you into this mess. I want to get you out of this mess. That Monday, she messaged me and she says, hi, Eliakim, my name is, and she told me her new Hebrew name. Very beautiful. To think that we're elitist or racist, it's not understanding how God created the world. When you go into a company and you see that someone's the CEO, he's got a lot of responsibility. He's got a lot of rewards, but he also has a lot of consequences if he doesn't live up to it. If you're middle management or you're, like a district manager, you don't have the same responsibility as, say, the CEO. Can the company run without either of you? No. The world can't run without either one of us. It's just different responsibility. But if you do your responsibility, there's a great reward. There's a great reward. You know how many non-Jews have sponsored my lectures? A lot. Baruch Hashem. They appreciate the truth. They want to get closer to Hashem. I hope that this woman's able to prove that she is Jewish. That'd be very wonderful. God willing, in the schus of this lecture, in the merit of this lecture, she'll be able to prove it. Okay. Now, we have a very bizarre occurrence in Bereshis. We have the daughter of, we're called Bnei Yisrael. So he's like the archetype of Kedusha, of holiness and righteousness in the world. Yet his daughter, after being promised by Hashem that Hashem is going to be with him and, you don't have to worry, whatever, his daughter gets raped. Lo aleinu, chas v'shalom, a million times. What a horrifying thing to read in the Torah. Have you ever just read Sefer Bereshis just like in English? There's some very tragic things that happen in this entire book. I don't think, the sale of Yosef's terrible, but the rape of a daughter of Yaakov, how in the world did this happen? So this is how we're going to start. We all know that Leah was supposed to marry Eisav. She did not. She cried and davened so that she wouldn't. Her daughter then gets raped. The sages blame Yaakov for this, for not giving Dinah to Eisav. This is just a little background to sort of pour the foundations of this lecture. Even if you're not so observant out there, you probably know that Eisav is like the paradigm of wickedness. So why would a father be punished and a daughter punished so severely for not wanting to marry someone wicked? Imagine a father saying, I really don't want my daughter to marry. He just got out of jail. He's known for beating his wife. He murdered people before. He's got a very short temper. Oh, and he's got a massive drug problem. And you would say, shame on you. You don't want your daughter to marry, Stanley? Why not? Would anyone out there think like that? No, father of the year. What a great Abba this guy is. Doesn't want his daughter to marry a totally wicked monster. Yet that wasn't what happened here. Why? That's the lecture. This is going to be the lecture. Why was the punishment so severe for not letting Dinah marry Eisav? It really doesn't make any sense, especially, I mean, for those of you that watch on my lectures, what I talk about all the time, what do we say just in Tehillim? Turn away from evil and do good. Yet, we're seeing a punishment here for not turning to evil. It's just mind-blowing, is it not? It really just doesn't make any sense. And we are going to figure out why. By the end of this, you will say, wow, missed opportunity. Big missed opportunity in the annals of our history. Okay. Here's the pasuk, Bereshis 34:1. Just excuse me for 1 second. I just want to turn the air conditioning on. I'm sorry. Apologies. I usually always do that before the... Okay, sorry. We're back. Bereshis 34. Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Yaakov, went out to look among the daughters of the land. Dinah, why not Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov and Leah? It doesn't say that. It says Dinah, the daughter of Leah. Again, every word of the Torah is precise. Order is important. Things that are left out, seemingly, are left out for a reason. Things that were included that you don't understand are included for a reason. Dinah's called the daughter of Leah. She's not called the daughter of Yaakov. Went out to look among the daughters of the land. And Shechem, the son of Hamor, the prince of the land, saw her, and he took her, he lay with her, and he violated her. And his soul cleaved to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. Again, starts off daughter of Leah, now it's daughter of Yaakov. He loved the girl and spoke to the girl's heart. And Shechem spoke to his father, Hamor, saying, take this girl from me as a wife. Yaakov heard that he had defiled his daughter Dinah. His sons are with the livestock, and Yaakov kept silent until they came home. We know how this ends, that Shimon and Levi, my ancestor Levi, slaughtered the entire community. Baruch Hashem. Because it's exactly what they deserved. They were chayav. They were non-Jews. They were obligated on two things. Shechem was chayav for raping someone. You're not allowed to do that. And the community should have punished him, set up courts to punish. That's one of the things that Noachites have to do, the Gentiles have to do. They have to set up courts. They have to have punishment. They have to keep order. That did not happen. Notice the wording here. It's very important. I honestly never noticed this before. I was trying to figure out a topic last night. I was on such a high after the Ruvain lecture. And I said, you know what, let's stay in Sefer Bereshis. I feel like I'm on a roll here. And I said, you know what, this like topic's always bothered me. Let's dive in. She starts off being called Dinah, the daughter of Leah. What'd she do? She simply went out to look at the daughters of the land. The daughter of Leah, not the daughter of Yaakov. However, because of her going out, she was called the daughter of Leah, since Leah too was in the habit of going out, as it says in Bereshis 30:16, and Leah came forth toward him. This is where the term like mother, like daughter comes from. This is what it says in the Midrash. Shechem, the son of Hamor, saw her, took her, lay with her, and violated her. Lay with her in a natural way, violated her in an unnatural way. Intimate with her in an unnatural way. That's what it says in the Midrash. This was not a pretty picture. This was not cinematic. This was not an 80s movie. This was debauchery. This was wicked rape. But then what does it say after this? And again, this is the key pasuk in the entire lecture. Okay? It's talking about Shechem, the one who just raped Dinah. So we're not talking, there's no such thing as like a moral rapist. That this is not a good person. This is Shechem, the son of Hamor. Hamor means donkey. He's like the son of a donkey. He's a despicable monster. But what does it say about him? And what does it say about Dinah? His soul cleaved to Dinah. Then it calls her the daughter of Yaakov. He loved the girl and spoke to the girl's heart. You notice like a sort of immediate switch here? How many rapists like finish the act and then like their soul cleaves to the girl? It's not something you typically read in police reports. Oh, he raped her, but his soul really cleaved to her. He really loved her. No, he raped her. It's like the most despicable of all acts. You violate the sanctity of someone else. Some people say it's worse than murder. Look at October 7th. What was, obviously the murders were bad, but what really like shocked the country? Obviously the murders. I'm not like, of course, downplaying, but what really shocked the country is knowing that Jewish girls were just like tied to trees and raped by subhuman monsters. That's what really, Did you read any stories of the Muslims after they did it? When they were being interrogated by, the Shin Bet, that anyone, I did something wrong, but my soul cleaved to her afterwards. What does this say about Dinah? First of all, now she's called the daughter of Yaakov. Starts out being the daughter of Dinah, basically like in a negative way, because Leah went out, Dinah goes out, like mother, like daughter. What does it say about Sarah? What was the beauty of Sarah? When the Malachim come to tell Avram and Sarah that they're going to have a child, they're going to have Yitzchak. And they ask Avram, where's your wife? And he says, behold, she's in the tent. Meaning, she's modest. She's righteous. She knows her role. She's not going out. That's the whole thing here. She's compared to her mother in a negative way. Now, when it's talking about the soul of Shechem cleaving to Dinah, it's why? Because she's the daughter of the most righteous person, maybe ever. Yaakov. Do you see what's going on? We've just taken 3 sentences that I'm sure every single year you did exactly what I did the last 17 years that you read it, you read the Rashis, you just sort of like, move on to the next. Do you see what we just uncovered? There's something really special about Dinah. It's right in the pasuk. She starts off being compared to her mother in a negative way. She went out. She wasn't supposed to go out, clearly. The blame isn't just put on Yaakov. The blame is also put on Dinah. She should not have gone out. She went out to see the girls of the town. There's opinion. She went out for, very good reasons, but she still shouldn't have gone out. But she could even get this wicked Shechem. It doesn't say he loved her beauty or he lusted after her. Tanakh says that numerous times. It says that his soul cleaved to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. Do not get that sentence out of your head the entire time, because it's like the key that unlocks a very strange and bizarre mystery. I don't know if it's plagued you, but this has plagued me for a long, long time. How the daughter of literally the most righteous person could be brutalized like this. Okay. Now, why is this even more shocking? It wasn't just that it's the daughter of Yaakov. It was that Yaakov was already promised something by Hashem. This is in Bereshit 28. We're skipping around. We're doing a little bit before, a little bit after. If you're keeping score at home with your Tanakh out, now go to 28:13. And behold, the Lord was standing over him, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land upon which you are lying to you, I will give it into your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall gain strength westward and eastward and northward and southward. And through you shall be blessed all the families of the earth through your seed. Here's the kicker. And behold, I am with you. I will guard you wherever you go, and I will restore you to this land, for I will not forsake you until I've done what I've spoken concerning you. I mean, you know, if you're a celebrity and you have a bunch of bodyguards, and your bodyguard says to you, don't worry, I'm going to guard you wherever I go. I'm going to guard you. I'm going to guard your family. And then something happens to your daughter. I mean, wouldn't you sort of had a little bit of a taina, a little bit of a question? Well, what's God saying to Yaakov? And why wasn't this seemingly fulfilled? I mean, what a gift to be told by Hashem. Behold, I'm with you. I will guard you wherever you go. Okay, you can interpret it maybe, I'll guard you. I didn't say I'd guard your kids. But I don't think that's, I don't think that's the message here. What happens a little bit after that? Yaakov, this is in Pasuk 20. So we just did 13, 14, 15. Here's Pasuk 20. Yaakov uttered a vow, saying, if God will be with me, and he will guard me on this way upon which I am going, and he will give me bread to eat and a garment to wear. He then says to Hashem, I'll give you a tenth of I will tithe to you. I will give you a tenth of all that I have. But he doesn't say, I did a whole lecture on this, that God created two worlds. So for those of you that watch, you'll understand this part. That's why you have to listen to all the lectures, because I always try to tie things in. He didn't say, if Hashem will be with me, Yud Kei Vav Kei. He said Elohim. What's Elohim? We talked about this. The world was created 32 times in the first chapter of Bereshit, the story of creation. The only name for God that is used is Elohim. Elohim means strict, divine justice, severity, harshness. Then Hashem saw that the world could not function this way. So Yud Kei Vav Kei then came into the world in chapter 4. It was literally a new world. It was a world infused with mercy. But mercy comes with a cost. Mercy comes with a price. As Adam and Chava sinned, and other things in creation also sinned, Hashem realized that the world that he created could not last. So he had to basically create a new world, which was a new version of his name, which was Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei does not occur anywhere in the first chapter of Bereshit, so you can go look. 32 times it is Elohim. So Yaakov utters a vow here, not to Yud Kei Vav Kei, to the strict divine justice. This is the God that Yaakov wanted. Yaakov wanted strict justice. He was going to the house of Lavan to basically, it'd be like taking like an Amish kid and sticking him in the middle of Las Vegas. Taking a yeshiva kid and, throwing him into Thailand or something like that. He was going to the worst, most corrupt, despicable person in the world. But he doesn't say, Yud Kei Vav Kei, I want you to be with me. He says, divine justice. And that's what happened. Divine justice. Elohim was with Yaakov. Okay. Now, putting puzzle pieces together. We see a few different puzzle pieces that we're going to keep meshing together. Now, let's go to Bereshit 32:23. That same night he arose, talking about Yaakov, and taking his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 children, he crossed the Yabok River. Wait a minute. We know that Binyamin was born after this. We know that Binyamin was in the tummy of Rachel at this point. But we also know, it's literally a pasuk right in the Torah, that Yaakov had a daughter named Dinah. So that same night he arose, He took his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 children. He had 12 children at the time. He had 11 sons. He had Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Yisachar, Zvulun, and Yosef. And Benjamin was in the tummy. So that's 11 children. But he also had a daughter. Leah also had a daughter. Leah had 6 sons and 1 daughter. Where was Leah? Why is Leah not mentioned here at all? The rabbis talk about this at length. It is a glaring weakness. Where is Dinah? What does the Midrash say? Genesis Rabbah. Yaakov put Dinah into a chest. Like a, what's it called? Like a trunk. And he closed it over her. Why did he do this? Because Yaakov said, this wicked one's eyes is raised, lest he raise his eyes and see her and take her from me. Talking about who? Eisav. Talking about Eisav. Why did Yaakov flee in the first? I mean, Yaakov is not... It's so hard to blame Yaakov in this situation, right? Why is Yaakov even gone in the first place? Why did he go to Haran in the first place? Because his brother literally wanted to kill him. I'm sorry. Try not to laugh here. It's just this... You have to understand this lecture. It's so mind-blowing because the topic is so mind-blowing. Eisav is Hashem says that he hates Eisav. I mean, Hashem doesn't just say he hates things so, nonchalantly. It says that Hashem hates Eisav. He's so wicked. Yaakov puts his only daughter in a chest to save her from a thoroughly wicked, corrupt monster. Yet he's punished for it. What does Rav Huna say in the name of Rav Abba HaKohen Bardella? The Holy One, blessed be he, said to Yaakov, by one who withholds kindness from his fellow, meaning his brother, you have withheld kindness from your fellow. That is, you have withheld your kindness from your brother. For if Dinah would have been married to a man, Shechem would not have cohabitated illicitly with her. It's very interesting. Even the wicked people, even Muslims back in the day, the thought of being with a married woman was so taboo, it just wouldn't happen. The Talmud is saying here that if Shechem knew that Dinah was married, if Shechem saw, he went to Jared. If Shechem saw the ring on her finger, he wouldn't have raped her. That's what the Gemara is saying here. What else does it say? The sages say that Yaakov was punished with a harsh punishment that Dinah was raped because he withheld kindness from Eisav and did not marry Dinah to Eisav. The masters of Musar, like ethics, of the previous generations asked, like I'm sure you're asking right now, why was Yaakov punished? He was obligated to do this. Preventing his righteous daughter from marrying the world's biggest Russia? Why would he be punished? Hashem should say, Yaakov, clearly you understand my Torah. They answered that notwithstanding that Yaakov was obligated to act this way in order to find the best match for Dinah, he was nevertheless punished because he was not pained about this, that he was forced and had no ability to provide a kindness to Eisav. That's a new one. I've never heard this one before. Not that he was necessarily punished for trying to prevent Dinah from, marrying a monster. I mean, again, for those of you out there that have daughters or have nieces, I mean, if I could do something to prevent my niece, my niece who I love so much, from marrying just such a monster, I mean, wouldn't you do everything that you could? But it didn't pain Yaakov enough, they say. Because he didn't have, it was the kindness back in the day that your daughter would marry the uncle. I mean, that was just Who's Moshe's parents? Moshe's parents is a father that married his aunt. Obviously, after, Matan Torah, we couldn't do that anymore. But Amram married his aunt, Yocheved. Who came from them? Miriam, Aaron, and Moshe. To make it even more perplexing, what does Rabbi Meir say in Pesachim 49b? It was taught, Rabbi Meir would say, anyone who marries off his daughter to an ignoramus is considered as if he binds her and places her before a lion. Meaning you're basically like killing your own daughter. For what? Not marrying a Russia. It doesn't say Russia. It just says an ignoramus. So Kal v'chomer, even more so. If Rabbi Meir is saying, even just marrying someone, a righteous person that has a daughter, and you're not marrying this daughter to a Torah scholar, it's like you're tying her up and putting her in front of a lion. How much more so would Rabbi Meir just be livid if someone doesn't mind that his daughter marries a Russia, doesn't do everything from preventing from marrying a Russia? So again, we're back to like, why is Yaakov punished? We see why Dinah was punished. The only thing they say about Dinah was that she went out. She left the tent. It was an act of immodesty. Someone on that level, again, later on, it calls her a daughter of Yaakov. She had some really righteous power that after being raped by Shechem, his soul cleaved to her. And then it calls her the daughter of Yaakov. So clearly, this isn't just an ordinary woman. This is someone incredibly, incredibly special. What else does the Talmud say that might shock you? The Talmud notes that a pious man who marries a wicked woman may become wicked himself. However, there's a belief that if a wicked man marries a pious woman, he might become pious. Again, a pious man who marries a wicked woman, it's a good chance he's going to become wicked. But a wicked man marrying a pious woman, it's a very good chance he's going to become righteous. What does this show? It shows the power of a righteous woman. Genesis Rabbah, a story is told, it's a Midrash, of a pious man and his wife who could not have kids. They said, we are of no benefit to the Holy One, blessed be He. So they divorced. He went and married, again, he was a pious man and his wife. This pious man went and married a wicked woman, and she made him wicked. She was pious. Again, it was a pious couple. They couldn't have kids. He went out and just said, okay, we're of no benefit. I'll just go marry, this hot rich girl who's wicked, but, who cares? He became wicked. She, on the other hand, went and also married a wicked man, but she made him righteous. Thus, everything is coming from the woman. What else does the Talmud say? The bracha, the blessing of the house, comes through the woman. I mean, for women watching this that think, oh, Judaism's so sexist because I have to be on a different side of the synagogue. Yeah, because the rabbis didn't particularly want men that have a wandering eye to just be staring at you and interrupting your davening and making you self-conscious. God, sorry, not sorry. Sounds great to me. Judaism's so sexist I can't put on tefillin. You don't need to. You were created at a much higher level than us. You have a different connection with God. It's the problem. It's like, it's like a game of telephone, these just sayings, oh, Judaism's sexist. Judaism doesn't value women. And then just, goes on and on, blah, 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 until people have no idea what's actually in the Torah. If you ever, the Talmud, the rabbis are so sexist. You ever read the Talmud? I'm giving you a glimpse of what they're saying about women. It goes on and on and on. It's very beautiful. Highly recommend anyone out there that thinks Judaism is this, terrible, wife-beating Muslim religion. That's the whole point of learning Torah. You'll see the beauty of what it says about women. And by the end of this, you'll understand Maybe why Yaakov was punished. The opportunity that we missed as a Jewish people, that we missed from this incident. Okay? According to Judaism, women are endowed with a greater degree of bina. Bina means intuition or understanding or intelligence than men. They might not be as good drivers, the joke, but they have a higher level of bina. The rabbis inferred this from the idea that a woman was built rather than formed, right? Adam was formed from the dust of the earth. Chava was built. She was taken from and built. The Hebrew root of build has the same consonants as the word bina, boneh. Boneh, like boneh Yushalayim. It's said that the matriarchs, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, were superior to the patriarchs, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, in prophecy. It's also been said that the women did not participate in the idolatry regarding the golden calf. Some traditional sources suggest that women are closer to Hashem's ideal than men. That should make you feel good. Women held beautiful positions of respect in ancient biblical times. Miriam, one of the liberators of the Jewish people, along with her brother Moshe and Aaron. One of the judges was Devorah. 7 of the 55 prophets in the Tanakh were women. The Talmud's replete with examples. Rabbi Meir's famous wife, Beruria. A lot of times the sages even took her opinion over other big rabbis of the time. The 10 Commandments require us to respect our father and our mother. Sometimes the father comes first, like in Shemos 20:11. Other times the mother comes first, like in Vayikra 19:3. What could Dinah have done? What was special about Dinah? Before we can understand, and you have to understand, if you can understand how wicked Eisav was, but that Yaakov was punished for not giving Dinah to him, you can infer from this just how holy and righteous and how much potential Dinah had to turn Eisav into a righteous man. Because again, Eisav has double the gematria of Yaakov. We'll get to that in a minute. When you're thinking the math doesn't add up. The math does add up, because 5 times in the Torah, Yaakov's name is spelled with an extra vav. Who is Eisav? I mean, when you think of evil, and you're like an observant Jew or you're a child, you think of Eisav. I mean, I'm learning Torah now with my 5-year-old son, so we're reading all the fun books and all the books of the Tanakh, and he knows Nimrod, Lavan, the people of the generation of Noah, all terrible, but one stands head and shoulders above the rest, and that's Eisav. He's like the paradigm of evil. The rabbis say one of the brachas that was given to Abraham was that he was taken from the world 5 years early. He was supposed to live till 180. He lived till 175. Why was he taken early? So that he would not see Eisav rebel in his lifetime. One interpretation actually says that Avram's love of his grandsons was the reason for his early death. On that day, Avram died, lest he see Eisav, his grandson, falling into bad ways, for that would not be a good old age. Hashem promised Avram that he would live until a good old age. What kind of a good old age is it if your grandson, literally is the most wicked person in the world, and everyone's saying, gosh, we thought Avram was righteous, but no, that's not a good old age. You don't want to be known as the grandfather of the most wicked person currently in the world. Therefore, the Holy One, blessed be He, shortened his life by 5 years. For Yitzhak lived 180 years, and Avram only lived 175 years. What else do we glean from this? And this is something that should be very scary to you. Eisav went off the derech. He left the path of his forefathers. Hashem gave Abraham a big kindness, a big bracha, by literally removing him from the world early. Meaning, better to be dead than to chas v'shalom see your kids and your grandkids disgrace Hashem and go off the derech. That's why the number one thing in the world, people have to understand, I want my kids to have, all the things I didn't have. No, your kid is a neshama. It's a soul. That soul was entrusted to you. The goal is to keep that soul as white and as clean as possible. Like, given brand new white garments. The goal is not to just spill and, you got cheese dip and cheese whiz and, wine on it. This is a scary thing that the Torah is telling us here, like as a side note. Better that Abraham was removed from the world than to see the Russia that his grandson turned into. It's powerful. Okay. Rav Simon says that on the very day that Avram died, Eisav committed 2 sins. Others just say 5. We'll get into all of them. Murder and rape of a married woman was one of them. Rabbi Barachia adds robbery to the list. We also learn later on, he scorned the next world and he blasphemed Hashem. So he basically, he came with a very terrible poker hand. He did 5 really horrible things. Murdered, raped a married woman, robbed. Why was the generation of the flood wiped out? Robbery. You'll think, okay, robbery is like the least of this. Generation of the flood was wiped out because of robbery. So it might be the least of the 5, but it's still a very, very terrible sin. He spurned, his birthright basically said that there's no next world, so what do I need this stupid birthright for? I don't really care about anything holy. And he cursed Hashem. All in one day. That's a busy day. And it says it was on the day that Abraham passed away. Abraham's life was shortened by 5 years so that he shouldn't see Eisav, his grandson, acting wickedly. However, Rashi says that from the age of 13, it was clear that Eisav went into his bad ways. It says that, the Midrash says that from birth till 13, even though the youth looked different, they were both tzaddiks. No one could see that there was a difference. Rashi says as long as they were small, they were not recognizable through their deeds, and no one scrutinized them to determine their characters. As soon as they became 13 years old, this one parted to the houses of study, the other one parted to the houses of idol worship. How old were Yaakov and Esau when Avram passed away? They were 15. There were 15 years in this world. It's a very powerful number. That Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were all alive together. So what happened between these 2 years? If until Avram just left the picture, he didn't know what was going on with his grandsons. What happened between ages 13 and 15? If they weren't discernible until the age of 13, that one was a Rasha and one was a tzaddik, but at age 13 it was now discernible. But Avram dies when they're 15. How did Avram not know that Esau was already a Rasha? It's a powerful question. Okay, the Maskil David quotes the answer of the Mizrahi. He says that at age 13, Eisav went to the houses of idol worship. It didn't say that he went to worship idols. It says that he went to the houses of idol worship. If so, it would be hard to say that it wasn't public. He therefore answers that at age 13, Eisav started sinning, but sins that were between him and God. Those kinds of sins can easily be rectified with tshuva. When he reached 15, he started sinning against man as well. And that is when he became truly wicked. Yom Kippur is coming up, God willing. Yom Kippur, you were only cleansed from sins between you and Hashem. You accidentally flicked on a light switch on Shabbos. But if you hurt your fellow man, if you made a terrible Facebook post embarrassing your friend, you're not forgiven on Yom Kippur. So what do we learn from this? Sins against man actually are a little bit more severe because you have to appease your fellow man or woman to get that sin erased. Sins between you and Hashem has Rahmanas, right? And in Hashem's second world that he made, basically, when he started infusing the world with mercy, this is now a result. We have a dry erase board once a year on Yom Kippur. When Eisav reached 15, he started sinning against man. That's when his wicked nature started taking shape. As the Midrash says, on the day Eisav did his sins, he raped an engaged girl, he stole, and he killed. All sins against man. The Maskil David points out a similar Midrash that says the generation of the flood's decree wasn't sealed until they started stealing, right? So you'd think that the raping and the murder would, but the robbery, once you're treating people like this, you obviously have no connection with Hashem, because you do not understand. It's impossible to have a close connection with Hashem when you are treating other Jews, other human beings, in a certain way. The Maskil David then brings an alternate possibility. There's a Midrash that says that on that day, Eisav also denied God. He's assuming that the Maskil David's intention would be that it would be very painful for Eisav to now start blaspheming Hashem and disgracing Hashem. That would be more of a heartbreak for Abraham than seeing him, not treating his fellow man so good. But either way, we see that starting at age 13, he started going off the derech. By age 15, right after the death, that's the scene. He's coming in, what's Yaakov doing? He's cooking lentils, right? What does Eisav say? Pour me some of that red stuff. It was after the death of Abraham. This was the Shiva for Abraham. So he did 5 things on this day. 3 against man, 2 against Hashem. But look at what he did. Blaspheme Hashem, literally curse Hashem. What? Do not take my name in vain. Do not curse Hashem. He denied the birthright, denied one of the 13 ways it's like the 13 principles of faith, is that there is reward and punishment in this world, and there is a means to receive it in the next world. So he denied both of those things. Denies Hashem and denies the next world. He then rapes, he murders, and he steals. Esav's reputation got around. Everyone knew Eisav was a Rasha. Who found this out the hard way? What does it say about Leah? Leah's eyes were tender, right? The Torah never gives a demeaning characteristic or adjective of a tzedekis or of a tzaddik. So it says Leah's eyes were tender, but Rachel had beautiful features and a beautiful complexion. If you're on one of these shidduch dating sites and someone's like, I got 2 girls for you. One's just unbelievably beautiful. The other one's got, puffy eyes. Left swipe, right? No, of course it's not saying that. Why were Leah's eyes tender? Because she used to go to the crossroads. Again, it says, the Midrash says, she used to go to the crossroads. Again, she's out and about, chirping, chattering, like mother, like daughter. She's out and about. Doesn't say that about Rachel. What would she do at the crossroads? Everyone would say, Rivka's got 2 sons, Laban's got 2 daughters. What a perfect shidduch. We have an 18-year-old daughter, and the next door neighbor has an 18-year-old son. What a perfect shidduch. So everyone knew Eisav was going to marry Leah, and Yaakov was going to marry Rachel. So Leah would ask the people at the crossroads, what's up with this guy? What's Eisav like? Oh, well, he's just, the run-of-the-mill blasphemer, denier of Olam Haba. He murders, rapes, and steals. Other than that, he's really handsome. He's good with a bow. You have nothing to worry about. And then she'd say, well, what's the younger brother like? He's perfect. 4.0. So good to his parents. He's an Ishtam. Why were her eyes tender? As a praise to her. She cried her eyes out and davened to Hashem until she got Yaakov. Obviously, her tefillah worked. She expected to fall into Esav's lot, and she wept Like I said, because everyone was saying, Rivka has 2 sons, Lavan has 2 daughters. Older to older, younger to younger. Now, Rashi cites a Midrash that Yaakov put Dinah in a box and locked her up because he was worried that she would end up with Esau. I mean, you don't think that Dinah knew that her mother, literally cried her eyes out and literally switched her mazel to not marry Esau? So as they're coming back to, Eretz Yisrael from Haran, Yaakov's making preparations to meet his brother again. There ain't any other sisters. You got 11 brothers and 1 sister. Who now is probably feeling, my gosh, well, what about me? What if he wants me? So Yaakov puts Dinah in a box and was punished. Why? Because Yaakov did not see the potential Eisav had in changing. And that's why he was punished. But it's not just that. He also didn't understand the potential of his own daughter. Starts off saying what? Dinah, the daughter of Leah. Okay, it has a negative connotation. But to me, it adds like a new twist. Only after it says that Shechem, his soul, cleaved to her, that she's called the daughter of Yaakov. Why? Perhaps Yaakov didn't understand the power of his own daughter, the righteousness of his own daughter. Although Yaakov was trying to protect his daughter, he did not see the capability of both Eisav and Dinah. Dinah, along with all women, have a power of persuasion and can change even the worst of people into the best. It's hard, but women are capable. Some women more than others. Had Dinah ended up marrying Eisav, she could have changed him for the better because Eisav had that potential. He grew up in the home of Yitzchak and Rivka. Just like many other women throughout the Tanakh that have had an exceptional hidden role, women have this too. Every woman watching this, you have potentially an untapped power. Yaakov missed 2 things. He missed the potential of his own brother. Again, very easy to miss. It's not like Eisav left many signs that he was such a tzaddik. But he missed the potential of his own daughter. He did not understand the greatness of Dinah. Now, what's one thing, just as a side note about Eisav, that I love so much about him? Well, we always talk about Eisav had the most amazing kibbud av v'ein, but we never see anywhere in the Torah that he has any interaction with his mom. In fact, it seems like his mom doesn't really like him at all, considering Rivka makes this whole thing to dupe, Yitzhak so that Eisav doesn't get the brachas. Rivka knew that Eisav was a Rasha. But the Midrash says something very beautiful that I've always found very touching, that gets back to this point that Eisav did have potential. We know that Eisav had amazing kibbud av, right? It would say that he would never go out and hunt and then serve his father in the same clothes. He would always put on special clothes. What were these special clothes? These are the clothes that Hashem sewed for Adam. They were passed down all the way to Nimrod. And on that day that he murdered someone, it says that he murdered Nimrod. And he had these clothes. These clothes were like mystical clothes. They had the power to subdue nature. At this point, Eisav is living at home with 2 wives. Did Eisav keep his clothes, these special clothes that were the most important thing in his life, with any of his wives? No, he did not. Who did he keep them with? His mother. Kept him with his mother. I've always found this so beautiful. The mom knew who he was. But something that was very valuable to Eisav, he would not trust. He knew that his wives were wicked. He entrusted the clothes only with Rivkah. These are the clothes that Rivkah then dressed Yaakov in when he goes in to sort of cheat his brother for the brachas. Now, what happens, it's very, and you're going to have to really pay attention here because this is literally going to blow your toupee off. Maybe twice. Okay, Parshas V'yishlach, we see that Yaakov comes with his family, right? The 11 kids, the 4 wives, and then Dinah's in a box. What does Yaakov do when he sees his brother? He bows down 7 times before getting up and kissing him. I mean, when I see someone I haven't seen in a while, I give him that guy hug where you hug and then one hand on the back. I don't then do it again, walk away, do it. I don't do it 7 times. I do it 1 time. When I shake someone's hand, hey, I'm Eliakim, nice to meet you. Hey, I'm Eliakim, nice to meet you. Hey, I'm Eliakim. I don't do that 7 times. Well, what's going on here? Yaakov comes, he meets his brother after 20 years of not seeing him. 7 years working for Rachel, 7 years really working for Rachel twice. And then 6 years working for the cattle. So he's coming back, hasn't seen his brother in 20 years. Actually, in fact, he hasn't seen his brother in 34 years because he spent 14 years at the yeshiva of Shimon and Levi. So it's been 34 years since he hasn't seen his brother. Why does he bow down 7 times? Eisav, what's up, man? Good to see you. Mind if I just, keep on so I can go see Abba? No, just bows down 7 times. Why? Well, this is from the Zohar. This is really, really mind-blowing. This will also show you who Eisav was and what his potential was. Okay. We see in Sefer Bereshis that Yitzchak was a miracle baby. There was just a miracle baby in Israel. I think the father was 84 and the mother was 60 something. And they had their first kid. You should see this picture. It looks like great-grandparents, 2 great-great-grandparents with a baby. Yet it's their son. This spread like wildfire in the religious world. This was such a miracle, such an overt miracle. And this couple had never had kids. It'd be one thing if they stopped having kids 40 years ago. They never had kids. So this couple's been married for 40 something years, never had kids. And then this guy's in his 80s. And they have a little beautiful boy. Look it up. It's the most beautiful thing ever. So Yitzhak was a miracle baby. Right? He's born to Avram and Sarah. Avram's 100, Sarah's 90. The gematria of the name of Yitzchak is 208. Okay? Why is this important? 208 is 8 times the gematria of Hashem. Yod Kei Vav Kei is gematria 26. Yitzchak is 8 times the gematria of Hashem. There's 7 levels of Tuma, and there's 7 levels of Kedusha. Okay? So Yitzchak, because he was a tzaddik, pulls from the 7 levels of Kedusha. But since he was a miracle in and of himself, it's like an extra level. So you have 7 levels of Kedusha times 26 is 182. And then add an extra 26 that he's a miracle. He's now 8 times the name of Hashem. Okay, that's important. He has 2 sons. He has Yaakov, he has Eisav. The gematria of Yaakov is 182. I'm going to show you in a minute. It's also 188. I'll show you that in a minute. The gematria of Yaakov, how it's spelled every time in Tanakh other than 5 times, is 182. What's unusual about 182? 182, again, 7 levels of Kedusha. 7 times 26, Kedusha is Hashem's gematria. 7 times 26 is 182. So Yaakov is 182, 7 times Hashem. Yitzchak is 8 times Hashem. Now, we said there's 7 levels of tameh, right? Of impurity. What's the gematria of tameh? Tes mem aleph is 50. 9 tes, 40 mem, and 1 aleph, so 50. Now, multiply by 7 layers. By 7. Again, you have 7 levels of Tuma, 7 levels of Kedusha. We have 7 times 50 is what? Again, Tameh, impurity, is 50. Multiply by 7, the 7 levels of Tameh, just like we did with Yaakov, and that's 350. And then add an extra level of Kedusha, like we did for Yitzchak, we get the gematria of Eisav, which is 376. What was that extra level of Kedusha in Eisav? In his head. What was buried in the Maras Machpelah? Esav's head. Why? Because Eisav had so much potential. We see from here that Eisav was bad in every possible way, but he had an element of Kedusha. He was 7 times Tameh, but plus a 26, plus a level of Kedusha. Now, why did Yaakov bow down? 7 times. Every time he bows down, he's eliminating what? 1 level of Tameh, 1 of the 50. So he bows down once, goes from 376 to 326, bows down again, now he's at 276. He bows down 7 times. To what? To get rid of that 350, to get rid of the evilness of him. And what's he left with? What was Yaakov doing for his brother? Trying to get him out of his impurity. Knocking out that 7 50s, 350 minus 376, the gematria of Eisav, minus 350 is 26, Hashem's gematria, Kedusha. We see this another time in the Talmud. And the Gemara in Kedushin, it says, a story is brought down of Abaye, where there's a demon that had an appearance of a snake with 7 heads. It says that even if 2 people went inside, it would terrorize them. So what they do? They made it so that Rav Achav bar Yaakov would not be invited to anyone's house, so he'd have to sleep in the base Midrash. So what did he do? He bowed down 7 times to this demon, and every time one of the dragon's heads fell off. One of the demon's heads fell off until it disappeared completely. Yaakov did the same exact thing, but when he bowed down 7 times, Eisav didn't disappear completely. Everything disappeared except for what? The 26, the Kedusha, the amazing potential that Eisav had. What's another proof of the potential that Eisav had? 5 times in the Tanakh, Yaakov is spelled with an extra vav, so that his gematria goes from 182 to now 188. Okay? He took 5 times. He took a yud from Eliyahu Navi. 5 times. He took a vav from Eliyahu Navi. $182 plus the vav, which is 6, is 188. 188 times 2 is 376. Eisav had double the potential of Yaakov. Now, who could Eisav have been? Because people say, it's not really fair. Because the Torah is going to tell us, and the children crushed within her. This is Bereshit 25:22, talking about the birth of them. And the children crushed. Rashi says, when Rivka would pass by a place of Torah study, the yeshiva of Shimon and Levi, Yaakov would toss about. But when she passed a place of idol worship, Eisav would toss about. So how do we say that people have free will when inside Rivka's stomach you got big tzaddik and a big Rasha? How do we square that? If I'm reading this for the first time, I'm saying, wait a minute. I got a big timeline. Forget about, this story. Judaism as a whole. Don't we say that we have free will? Isn't the entire crux of our life that we're not, you're born with original sin and Jesus died? No, we don't do that. We have control over every single one of our actions, whether we're going to follow God or not. Everything else is out of our control. What does Shlomo Melech say at the end of Kehelos? What's life? After he analyzes all of life, all the wealth that he had and everything, he says, what is really the world? Fearing God and observing his commandments. But now you're telling me you got this kid in the womb who he was already an idol worshiper. How's that fair? Why do we have any blame for Eisav? He was predestined for this. No, he was not. Now, what's the proof? The behavior of Eisav in the womb is very difficult to understand. The Midrash seems to imply that Eisav was evil from the time he was a fetus, which would basically negate all of Judaism. I mean, Hashem's going to reward and punish, yet this little monster is in the fetus? How is it his fault? He was born wicked. No, he wasn't born wicked. The commentaries point out a problem with this Midrash. They bring sources that the Yetzer Hara only enters a person from the time he was born. Yet according to this Midrash, Eisav already seemed to have a strong Yetzer Hara and was evil from the womb. Rav Nosson Weiss answers this by closely analyzing Rashi's words. He says that Eisav wanted to go towards the place of idol worship. He does not say what Eisav wanted to do there. This means Eisav had an inborn inclination towards places of evil, but it would be up to him when he grew up to use this inclination in a constructive way. The most obvious positive way would be to destroy such places, rather than be spiritually destroyed by them. Thus we see Eisav was not evil from the womb. Rather, he had a natural leaning which could be used for good or for bad. Indeed, a careful analysis of rabbinic sources describes Eisav's early life, demonstrating he did indeed possess a great ability to fight evil. The Torah describes a young Eisav as a man who knew how to trap. The Midrash says one of the interpretations of this word is that he would trap criminals with his mouth. They would deny involvement in a crime, and he would trick them into admitting the truth. That's righteous. Could have been a cop coming in. Oh, that's your alibi? Let me ask you a few questions. Boom. Targum Yonasan, on the same verse, makes an even more dramatic revelation. Eisav killed the leader of the idol worshippers, Nimrod. Like I said, he took Nimrod's clothes. Thus, he evidently had a talent to destroy evil. He could have used his mouth to trap. Clearly, he was a good speaker. Why not do Torah lectures? Why not, a double header, Shirim by the Sea? Eliakim goes first. Eisav comes right after me. I'd love for Uncle Eisav to come and give the next shir. Clearly, he had a big ability with his mouth. Who else did they think was evil? David HaMelech. David HaMelech had the same complexion as Eisav. He was ruddy. He had a ruddy, angry, like a red complexion. He was hot. The Midrash tells us that a very different persona in the Torah shares a similar inclination to Eisav. David HaMelech. Hashem sent the prophet Shmuel to anoint David as king, but Shmuel saw that David had a red complexion. The color represents an inclination to kill and for evil. When Shmuel saw that David had this leaning, he feared he'd be a murderer like Eisav. Hashem reassured him that David would only apply this inclination in the correct way and use it to kill when Jewish law permits, defending the nation, not destroying the nation. There's a rabbi in Israel, he's called the Disco Rabbi. Rav Grossman. Rav Grossman, I would say, is, if someone said you'd have to bet, your Apex custom suit, name one of the top 3 holiest people in the world, I would almost be able to guarantee that it's Rav Grossman. What did Rav Grossman used to do? He used to go to places in Tel Aviv, and they'd see this. I mean, you should see how he dresses. He's a Haredi, very religious rabbi. And he's the sweetest. I met him once. I made sure to get a bracha from him. And I wasn't engaged much longer after that. So I always, like, that was a big bracha for me. And I'm usually not into getting brachas, but he has this school for, like, wayward kids. And one of my, best friend's brothers went there. So he invited me to the graduation. It also happened to be he was being honored by, like, being the biggest educator in Israeli history. I mean, prime ministers were on the screens giving him. What did he used to do? He used to go to places with no Kedusha. And he'd come, I mean, he looks like an angel. He'd come in and he'd talk to these people. He would tell them what potential. Why are you just floundering away doing drugs at a club? Come learn with me. Come take a walk with me. Come. This could have been Eisav. Eisav knew how to speak. Eisav was powerful. He knew how to trap with his mouth. He could have used trapping with him. Oh, you don't think there's a God? Why not? Wrong. All the different proofs of the Torah. He could have been double Yaakov. Who was Yaakov? He sat in a tent and he learned. And of course we need those. But who was Eisav? He was a man of the field. He was a doer. He could speak. He could have been just like his grandfather, going around the world and getting everybody to see the beauty of the Torah. You had one person learning the Torah, another one spreading the beauty of it. Yeah, he kicked when he went to the house of the idol worship. He could have gone there. Instead of being influenced by them, he would have been their influencer. That's the potential he had. He was 7 levels of Tumah, but he had that extra 26. He's double the gematria of Yaakov when spelled with a Vav. Eisav, yes, he was a monster, but he was a monster cloaking something really, really special and really, really holy. And who could have brought this out of him? Someone else that was really, really special and really, really holy, but was what? Hidden in a trunk. In the beginning of the frightening story, Dinah is introduced as the daughter of Leah, a fact we already know. And the fact that Yaakov is her father seems almost incidental, right? Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Yaakov. It's like Dinah, the daughter of Leah, and Yaakov's like a baby daddy or something. Again, he seems almost incidental. It sounds like the primary tie is to the mother, like I said at the beginning. The Torah also gives us, like, literally the proof of this. She went out to see the daughters of the land. Any time in the Torah, you have the same sentence used. It connects the two things. Leah went out, Dinah went out. Like mother, like daughter. Who was the mother? The mother was so holy, she literally was destined to marry Eisav and just daven to the extent. What else was Leah? Leah had 3 kids, right? Yaakov was going to have 12 kids. There were 4 wives. 12 divided by 4, unless you do Common Core under Obama, it's 3. She could have just said, okay, I had my 3. Time to, start, clipping coupons and, having the ladies over for wine in the afternoon. No, what did she do? She was constantly trying to build more and more to get more close to Hashem. She's the first one that even thanked Hashem when Yehuda was born. Dinah went out, just like Leah went out. Rashi doesn't say just that she was outgoing. He says she was outgoing like her mother. When was Leah outgoing? Rashi highlights a particular incident to prove Leah's extroversion. Leah went out to greet him, meaning Yaakov. Meaning Reuven. Leah's son Reuven had found the Dudaim plants in the field and brought them to his mother. Rachel asked her sister to give her the Dudaim that Reuven had just brought her, because they had, medicinal qualities that maybe would help her get pregnant. And Rachel was eager to conceive a child. Leah agreed to give her the Dudaim in exchange for the opportunity to spend the night with Yaakov, a night that Yaakov had reserved for Rachel. Rachel agreed. Now they needed to tell Yaakov their deal in a tactful and honorable manner. So who went out? Leah went out to greet him. Leah was the one who told him. This tells us a lot about the two women. Rashi quotes this to say that Leah has an outgoing nature. She's talkative. When Yaakov came back from the field in the evening, Leah went out toward him and said, "You shall come to me because I have hired you with my sons Dudaim." And he slept with her that night, and who came? Yisachar. That was her reward. She had like the paradigm of Torah learning. Yisachar. Why was he called the donkey Yisachar? Because he like carried the yoke of Torah on the back. She didn't wait for him to come home and possibly feel rejected by Rachel. She went out to meet him and explained what she and Rachel had arranged before he arrived home. She was proactive in her consideration of her husband. Proactive in consideration of her husband. What's the reward? Again, like I said. And that night she conceived her fifth son. God hearkened to Leah, and she conceived. She was proactive in her consideration of her husband, and she bore a fifth son. Rashi takes note of the words, God hearkened to Leah, and explains why Hashem was so impressed with her. She desired and was seeking means to increase the number of tribes. At this point, she already had 4. She had more than her share. She wanted more. She wanted to build Bnei Yisrael. Dinah was her daughter. Dinah was also proactive. Dinah was also a builder. Dinah was also a do-gooder. Dinah was also righteous and wanted to create something. Had the potential to create something beautiful for Hashem. She went out to Yaakov not only to be considerate of his dignity, but she was also eager for the opportunity to conceive another child and increase the number of Bnei Israel tribes. God was so pleased with Leah's actions, he blessed her with another son. Clearly, Leah was outgoing in a most noble way. To compare Dinah's extroverted nature to Leah is a complimentary description of Dinah, and certainly not an implication of her guilt. Like mother, like daughter is not, in this case, a negative. Dinah was the daughter of Leah, who she bore to Yaakov. Why is her relationship with Yaakov mentioned as a mere byproduct of her being her mother's daughter? Here's why. What's quite evident from the story is that Dinah, in all probability, would have influenced Eisav to live an upstanding life. If not, why would Yaakov have been so criticized and punished for robbing Eisav of this opportunity? Perhaps Leah accurately assessed her capabilities and knew she wouldn't have been able to influence him. Talk about Leah. And therefore, there was no negative consequences of her prayers. Again, Leah was not punished for praying and using subterfuge that night and marrying Yaakov first. In fact, it's nothing but a praise. What's the proof of this? That it describes her as someone with soft eyes from crying. It's used just like it's very complimentary that Rachel was so beautiful and she's of good appearance. This is also meritorious, meaning Leah cried because Leah knew herself. She knew Eisav was a Rasha. She knew who she was. She knew she couldn't handle the task. That's why she was never punished. She's given 6 kids. She had half the share of Bnei Israel. I come from Leah. Shevet Levi. But Dinah was different. She was even more outgoing and facetious than her mother. Hashem was disappointed that she didn't have the opportunity to work her righteousness on Eisav. What's one of the things it says? Both her positive outgoing nature and her potential to influence one of the most corrupt men of her time, are contained in the phrase that introduces her to the terrible encounter with Shechem. Dinah, the daughter of Leah, who she bore to Yaakov, went out to see the daughters of the land. Dinah, like her mother, was an outgoing and charismatic girl. It was only natural that after her family set up shop in the village of Shechem, that she would venture out to see the daughters of the land. Perhaps why? She wanted to enlighten them about monotheistic beliefs. That her father and grandfather and great-grandfather propagated throughout the Middle East. Unfortunately, she was badly hurt in this process. And yet, despite the abuse that she endured, she still managed to profoundly impact her environment. Shechem himself seemed to be totally transformed by her. It's literally right here. His soul cleaved to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. Now it's calling her the daughter of Yaakov. He's not incidental in her life anymore. His righteousness rubbed off on his daughter. She was the paradigm of a Jewish virtuous woman. Someone comes and rapes her and his soul cleaves to her. That's not a normal reaction. Shem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, take this girl from me as a wife. Why not just as a concubine? I mean, you raped her the first time, just why as a wife? There was something so special and so beautiful about Dinah, and so holy. Dinah was unique. She was gifted as a potential sphere of influence. Her charisma naturally attracted other people to take her lead. Dinah was drawn towards other women, and in a new environment, she was naturally social. Ultimately, she always influenced other people around her, trying to get them to become more spiritually sensitive. Dinah is every woman who is naturally influential. For her, it was a loss to be in a box. It was a punishment to be in the box. Just like in a brief, horrific encounter with Shechem, she was so able to just turn his rotten soul. His soul cleaved to her. The Torah uses these words. What does it say? The husband should cleave to his wife. I mean, cleaving is not used as a, what's a generic synonym for no. It's got a special purpose. Shechem was totally enthralled by Dinah. She was such a tzedekis. She had such potential. Potential that now, unfortunately, we just will never know. Eisav was supposed to be the fourth Av. Supposed to be the fourth patriarch. There's 4 matriarchs. There's supposed to be 4 patriarchs. Eisav by himself did not have that. Eisav had double the potential. When you have double the potential, you also have double the Yetzer Hara. Eisav had a monstrous Yetzer Hara. But look at the potential. The Midrash is so clear. The Torah is so clear about this. And how do we reconcile the fact that it says Yitzchak loved Eisav and Rivka loved Yaakov? Yitzchak also saw something in him. Why? Who was Yitzchak? He was Gevura. He was strength. He was the Elohim world. He was strict. He was severe. Was that who Yaakov was? No. Yaakov was just like his grandfather, just an Ish Tam. Who was Eisav? Eisav was like Yitzchak, like father, like son. Yitzchak saw something in his son. He saw the potential. What was the potential that Eisav lost? What's the potential that we had? Gave a whole lecture on this. Before Adam and Chava sinned, we had Adam and Chava and the snake. What does the Gemara say about the snake? Woe to us as Jews for 2 servants that we lost. What was the Talmud talking about? The snake used to stand on upright and was able to speak and had a big long tail. It said that one snake we would use to do all the farming and everything, and the other snake we would send to get precious pearls and jewels. What were we supposed to do? Were we supposed to be the workers? No. We were supposed to just cling to Kedusha, cling to holiness. That's all we were supposed to do. What does Yitzchak see? Yitzchak sees 2 sons. He sees 2 different potentials that, if meshed together, would take us back to Gan Eden. He saw a doer. What does it say about Eisav? He was the man of the fields. He could trap. He was a doer. He was a speaker. He's a fundraiser. He's a go-getter. He's we need to get 50 people together for this whatever. Yeah, he'll call everyone. Hey, get over here. You're missing out on the biggest mitzvah. Who is Yaakov? Who is the learner? What do we need? Can people just sit there all day and learn Torah? And man falls from the sky? No, we're not at that level now. What do we need? We need doers. We need movers and shakers. And we need learners. What did we lose? We lost the meshing of that puzzle. We lost the two puzzle pieces that were coming together because Esau failed. When did it come together? The next generation. What happened? What was Leah's reward for coming out and getting the dudayim, giving it to her sister, and coming out and saying, I've hired you for the night? It doesn't just say that her reward was Yisachar. The reward was 2 kids. Child number 5 was Yisachar. Child number 6 was Zvulun. She got a double bracha. It's very clear. Who is Yisachar? He was the Torah learner. Who is Zvulun? His chelek was by the sea. He was by Akko and Haifa. What did he do? He was a traitor. He traded and he supported his brother learning Torah. It's the most famous partnership in all of Judaism. It's the Zvulun-Yisachar partnership. And who was listed first? When Moshe is going through the tribes, Zvulun comes before Yisachar. That's what we lost. We lost the true world of the Jewish people. We lost the world of action and the world of learning that were supposed to mesh together beautifully. And they did briefly with these 2 tribes. Dinah had the potential. The proof that she had the potential is the severity of the punishment for Yaakov. Imagine seeing your daughter, chas v'shalom, 1,000,000 times, lo aleinu, knowing that she got raped by Shechem, by a vicious monster. Why was the punishment so severe for Yaakov? Because he didn't ask Hashem to be with him. He didn't ask Yud Kei Vav Kei to be with him. He asked Elohim, strict Elohim. And Hashem, Elohim, responded in kind. You had the potential to uplift your brother. You had the potential to help your brother. You withheld that precious daughter that could have changed Eisav, just like she changed Shechem. In one sentence, goes from raping her to cleaving to her. Soul cleaved to her. And we, as a nation, missed out on a 4th Av and the world working the way that it was supposed to. How do we correct the sin of this? By learning Torah and supporting Torah. I mean, I've given a few lectures on this exact topic. Yitzchak saw someone that was going to do all the material things. He was this world. Yaakov was only Olam Haba, basically. Eisav was this world. They were supposed to mesh together, to use this world to get the next world. Each one benefits. Yaakov didn't have to do anything in this world. He was just supposed to sit there and learn and be holy. Eisav was a man of action. He was a go-getter. He was a doer. He was a man of speech. He could have gone to, hey guys, what are you sitting around doing nothing for? Come learn Torah with Yaakov. He's an amazing teacher. Here, I'll even pay you. That's what we lost. We lost a lot. I hope people understand what we lost. Eisav was a Rasha, but he had so much more. He had so much potential. Did a whole lecture yesterday on Ruvain. Again, someone that lost everything, lost the Bechor, lost the Kahuna, and lost the Malchus. No longer the firstborn, no longer the Kohen, no longer the king. People, life can change in a second. You can grab holiness in a second, doing something so easy. Sharing this lecture, telling a friend, oh, you would love this topic. We just talked about it, last year. sponsoring a lecture. Rosh Hashanah is a little over a month away. It's like 35 something days away from Rosh Hashanah. Don't you want to go into your court case? Most people even know it's a court. They have no idea where Rosh Hashanah is. In Israel now, most people just they do barbecues like it's Independence Day. They don't have a clue. We're going to be standing in front of the King of Kings, being judged. Don't you want, when he's reviewing who you are, that you just come in with these piles of just hefty bags of mitzvahs? Hashem, you know what? I'm not perfect yet, but I want to be. I know how your world works. I know how important Torah is. And look, I've been sharing every one of the lectures. I've been watching every one of the lectures. And, and 2 weeks ago, I sponsored a lecture. Again, if you think this is like an advertisement so that my bank account can get big, you don't understand. The bank account's not... My spiritual bank account is getting filthy rich, and that's what I want for everybody else. Because you ain't taking your bank account to the next world, but you are taking your spiritual bank account. And how do you just back up Brinks trucks and flood your account over daily, even while you're sleeping? You share every lecture. You sponsor lectures. I mean, this amazing woman that sponsored this lecture, she could be at work for the hour and 40 minutes. And she now earned almost 100,000 mitzvahs according to the Chafetz Chaim. Other rabbis say even in the millions. It's so easy. That's how easy Hashem created the world. Some people didn't see it. Eisav didn't see it, but he maybe could have seen it with a Dinah. So everyone out there, male or female, be the Dinah. There's something in every single Jew out there that could help a fellow Jew. Find what it is. Some people like me can speak. You might be very organized and could help the Jewish people that way. You might be very musical. You have some sort of talent that Hashem blessed you with, not just to keep in a box, but to use for the betterment of the Jewish people, to get us closer to Hashem so that we can merit the Geula. Don't waste a life like Eisav did. Tap into your potential and help others do the same. Wishing everybody a wonderful, wonderful day.